Oh, yeah, we're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. And you've just crossed over into the trend zone. Casey here with Dave. We are the football dudes. Dave, are you ready, bro?
Oh, yeah. You got that right, my friend.
All right, next stop, the trend zone. It is Sunday, August 17th. We're coming to you from Los Angeles, California. It's a beautiful 64 degrees. Dave, how's things on the west side?
That is it. 64 degrees here on the west side. It's probably a little toastier in the Sherm over there, but right here, the cool breeze. It's beautiful out there today.
Well, maybe it's so hot in the Sherm because things are heating up in the NFL. Dave, we're out of hibernation. We're back to training camp. We're getting limber. We're doing calisthenics, all the stuff we needed to get ready for the season. So, Dave, I thought we would give the peoples a little insight to all 32 teams heading into the 2025 season. Are you ready, Dave? You've been drinking your Gatorade, lifting all them weights?
That's right. I'm all set here, man. But let's bring the season on. Let's do it.
Okay, we're going to get you off the IR and into regular season form. Dave, let's go ahead and start in the AFC. In the AFC East, Dave, everybody's media darlings, hard knocks with these guys, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. I mean, the question is the same question we've asked the last couple of years, Casey. Is this the year that the Buffalo Bills can get over the top? This team has been Super Bowl ready with Josh Allen running the show there. He is the unquestioned leader of that squad. They brought in, finally got the deal done with James Cook.
Mhm.
Uh, argue about the money all you like. Now he's there, and he's a very productive back for them. A young group of receivers. They brought in Josh Palmer on the defensive side. It's a really solid defense, but they brought in Bosa from the Chargers. And if he can stay healthy, he's a heck of an
Mhm.
addition there for a solid defensive unit. This is a team that's got some good tight ends. It's got good weapons across the board. There's no reason they shouldn't go to the Super Bowl and win it.
Mhm. They've been good enough to get there the last few years. The new stadiums being
Woo!
built, Dave. I think they're supposed to be there next year. Let's send Orchard Park off with a bang, dude, and an AFC championship. How about that?
That sounds amazing, man. They are, like I said, primed and ready.
All right, Dave. Vibes are high in Buffalo, but it doesn't feel like vibes are so high down in South Beach with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is a make or break year, I think, for McDaniel. Um, Out there, he was the super genius coming in there when they hired him, the offensive mastermind, and the offense looked phenomenal at first. It was so quick, and everybody was moving full speed and everything. And then Tua and the health issues, the concussions and stuff really threw a monkey wrench into that. And they have a lot of guys that have struggled with their health. Achan, um, and Waddle, just a lot of their stars really. And now you've got sort of a disgruntled Tyreek who wanted out. Now he's back in. There's a lot going on in this equation, and if they don't get out and get it all kind of ironed out and get all on the same page, then this is going to be a bad season for the Dolphins. It's still got a lot of talent there, no doubt about it. When they're
Mhm.
healthy, they can move the ball.
Yeah, a ton of running backs there with Achan looking to take the lead there. I do love Ollie Gordon come out of Oklahoma State. And Dave, at wide receiver, you mentioned Tyreek Hill there, but they bring in Nick Westbrook Akine from Tennessee, who was productive in the end zone with very limited opportunities in Tennessee. And they bring back Darren Waller from the dead to take over
Yeah.
for John O. Smith. Well, hopefully that experiment works well for them. But I could feel this thing crumbling apart if Miami doesn't get out the gates the way they want to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we'll see because they're in a pretty tough division there with the Bills. If they want to get to this, to the playoffs, they either have to pass the Bills or somehow they're in that huge traffic jam of quality football teams in the AFC striving for one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, and we have two new coaches in the AFC East. Let's go ahead and start with New England Patriots. They bring over Mike Vrabel. We love this dude at Tennessee. He
Yeah.
comes home to his beloved Patriots, and it's starting to trend in the right direction. They've added some nice pieces here. Drake May in his second year. What do you expect out of him?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that it's all based on the development of Drake May,
Mhm.
and they second year of Vrabel. I don't know why they fired him in Tennessee. It's still a head scratcher to me. This guy's an excellent football coach. He's got that toughness to him and the football IQ kind of coming from the Belichick tree there, knowing what to do and when to do it. But they brought in the running back Henderson in the draft there, and I think he's an exceptional back,
Mhm.
both receiving and running the football. And then wild card bringing in Stephon Diggs to try and give him another weapon. He seems to be wearing his welcome out everywhere he goes, but he
Yeah.
has lots of talent when he's healthy. Obviously, coming, the injury, the ACL and whatnot aside, generally speaking, this guy can really get it done. Does he still got something left in the tank? And is it the right mix there? Adding him in there with Drake May, who wants to really sort of take this team and make it his.
Yeah, and what we always loved about Vrabel in Tennessee is like there hadn't been a team that mimicked their coach more. Tennessee always played tough,
Yep.
always was strong. And
Physical.
if Vrabel brings that back to New England, they could be right in the mix. Maybe not for the division, but for a wild card in the AFC. So I'm excited to see what they look like. And you mentioned Trevion Henderson, man. I think that dude is a superstar in the making. All
Yep.
right, Dave, one more team in the AFC East. We're talking the New York Football Jets.
Yeah, how about these Jets? And this is an exciting time for the Jets fan, because this is when it's exciting for the Jets fan, to be completely honest. But it is exciting in the sense that you've got a new head coach in Aaron Glenn, who's been, he's not some new guy or anything. He's had tons of success along his way, and he's worked his way up to this position to being the head coach of the Jets. They bring in Justin Fields. He was doing very well, I thought, with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, they were 4-2, and they decided, hey, he's not good enough. Let's go for better. And I thought he ultimately ended up with better numbers than Russ did over there. And when it came to re-signing him, he said, no, thanks. I'm going to go somewhere else where they really want me. And I'm thinking they want him to use his legs. They want him. Is he ready? Really, this is the biggest question of this for this season. Is Justin Fields ready to be a legit, consistent starting quarterback in this league, whether he's a runner or not? But I think he
Mm-hmm.
should use his legs.
Yeah, and he's getting to rekindle that magic that he and Garrett Wilson had at Ohio State. They also had Josh Reynolds and Alan Lazard. And a couple months ago, we started hearing some of these rumors about Brees Hall
Mm-hmm.
maybe being traded. That's kind of caught fire again. And if he does get traded, Braylon Allen, dude, I definitely think is ready to
Yeah.
step into that position if need
Well, it's
be.
a wonderful to have two running backs and both of them be excellent. And obviously, the receiving group there with Garrett Wilson's leading the way is a talented group too. So
Yeah, and that O line has to stay healthy. All
that's
right,
key.
Dave,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and move into the AFC North. Baltimore Ravens, dude. Very similar to what we've got going in Buffalo.
Yeah. Is this the year? I mean, every year we see the Ravens get to the playoffs and then find a way not to get to the Super Bowl. They've got the best rushing attack or whatever, one of the best defenses in the league. Certainly towards the end of last year, the second half of the year, their defense really came on. Lamar is Lamar, and they
Mhm.
have the king back there running the football. So, I mean, this team, in fact, they could have seemingly won every game last year. They found a way to lose games that they were winning late in. But I mean, obviously, they have all the pieces in place with Harbaugh coaching them there. This is a tough physical team on both sides of the football. Beat you up. Yeah, is this the year?
Yeah, 2 years ago, Lamar's MVP season, they were the number one rushing team in the NFL. They had the number one defense, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. We're not able to get over the top.
Yep.
It's tough, man. I know the clock continues to tick in the NFL, but Baltimore has to find a way. Will it be this year? I don't know, because you know why? Cincinnati Bengals, Dave, Joey B got a little play in preseason, and him
Yeah.
and Jamar Chase looking to start the season much better than this team traditionally has.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 years specifically where they got out of the gates and when they looked back and they could say, "My gosh, that's why we didn't go to the playoffs. That's why this explosive team that everybody would fear in the playoffs, that everybody wants to see in the playoffs, didn't make the playoffs. They just didn't get a good
Mm-hmm.
start." But when you look at this team, though, it's not just that. It's their offense is ridiculously talented with the receivers that they have, and that's why Joe Burrow I mean, he's great at quarterback too. Arguably one of the best, if not the best, quarterback throwing the football in the
Yeah,
league. But and the weapons they have there uh, at receiver, but the defensive side is a huge question mark, and it has been an issue for this squad. Uh, what's the Hendrickson scenario? You know, they had such an
hmm
issue bringing in the defensive player from the draft, the first round pick. So can that
sure.
defense be halfway decent? And if it is, then this team can put up more points than you. That's for sure. They're going to put up 30 points.
Yeah, they gotta figure that out. Get past those slow starts. And Chase Brown kind of shot on the scene last year, and they had Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. So I like all the offensive weapons. You're right. That's not the question. Can
Yeah.
that defense do something? And can they get Hendrickson gruntled? Big questions. All right, Dave, let's go ahead and keep it in Ohio. The
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns.
Whoo. I guess how
Clown
many
show.
Yeah, how many quarterbacks do they have now? I went back and looked at how many draft picks they actually spent at quarterback because when you look at the Deshaun Watson thing, I think there were multiple number ones and multiple number threes there. Um, they drafted a fifth rounder in DTR that they traded along with a fifth rounder to get back Pickett. It's like 7 draft picks or something, 8
Ugh.
draft picks, maybe 9 draft picks in that room right now. And obviously, they spent a third rounder and a fifth rounder this year on Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders. Bringing in Flacco, at least he didn't cost the draft pick for them. But I mean, obviously, everything revolves around the quarterback situation there. Is Flacco good enough to last the whole year, or is he just holding the football until somebody else is ready? And
Yeah.
they need some answers. You know, how many quarterbacks are they going to keep on the active roster? They drafted 2,
Yeah.
and they traded a fifth rounder for and a quarterback for Pickett. So I are they keeping 4 quarterbacks on the 53? I mean, there's a lot of questions. I have more questions than answers here,
Mhm.
Casey, about this football team. Their offensive line kind of fell off a little bit towards the end of last year. I don't know. We'll see what they bring. Stefanski's a very good coach, but uh, whew,
Yeah, dude. And to the quarterback thing, real quick, they had to like Dylan Gabriel because they spent a third round pick
yeah,
on him
yeah,
and was very prolific in college. Actually looked pretty good this weekend in limited action.
yeah,
So, and the hype just around Sanders, the oblique kept him out. So you're right, dude. More questions than answers at quarterbacks, and there's a shit ton of answers at quarterbacks. So
uh,
it's going to be tricky.
yeah,
So yeah, lots of questions with Cleveland. I don't know what to expect out of them, but it's a brutal division because you have
yeah.
the Ravens with Lamar, you have the Bengals with Joey B, and now you got the Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers. Come on.
Yeah, I know, and they added DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers obviously comes in. I heard a report from Bucky Brooks, uh, name dropping
Trusted
here.
source.
Yeah, this guy said that he does the Jaguars and they play the Jags, and he said before the game Rodgers was out there chucking the ball around like an insane workout with the receiving group there, just play after play after play. He said he's so dialed in right now that you're going to see an Aaron Rodgers with a monstrous chip on his shoulder to show everybody that he's still got it and that he's being overlooked, and that the Steelers team with him at quarterback and the defense that they can field, they are going to be a threat to win it all.
Yeah, dude, they gave TJ Watt the big contract extension there. Let George Pickens go. We'll talk a little bit about him when we get to the Cowboys. Najee Harris goes to your Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Warren getting the first chance at the crown there. And then Caleb Johnson, it's not been what we thought would be in the preseason, but not time to hit the panic button. I
Yeah.
did think, though, last season, Aaron Rodgers played much better in the second half of the season than he did in the first. Maybe that's indicative of a 40-year-old QB coming back from an Achilles. I don't know. Maybe it takes time. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have a couple good tight ends in Jonnu Smith there, as well as, of
Mhm.
course, Pat Fryermuth, Casey.
Patrick Henry Sarsipius Christopher Fryermuth.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep,
Yeah,
look out. That's a nice tandem right there,
you
as
know,
well as obviously Darnell Washington, the bigger kind of blocking kind of tight end as well.
yeah, and if Mike Tomlin's been able to work wonders
Mhm.
with these teams that don't have Aaron Rodgers, this
Yeah.
one has Rodgers. All right, Dave, let's take it down south, the AFC South.
Yeah.
Houston Texans 2 years ago. CJ Stroud comes on the scene, couple of playoff appearances. What do you expect this year from these guys?
Yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic physical defense. This is a guy. This is a team that takes on the character of D'Amico Ryan's the coach
Mm-hmm.
there, no question about it. And C.J. Stroud, very talented. It's a little step back last year, and then a lot of injuries at the wide receiver positions didn't help him, but and the running back for that matter, Mixon going down. So this is a team that's obviously right there in the mix, no question about it. If Stroud can play like he did as a rookie, and we expect that. The Dalton Schultz there at tight end for them. This is going to be a team that's right there in the mix. Arguably, they should win this division and be in the playoffs.
Yeah, dude. And you mentioned Mixon. Not sure when he's going to be back. They go out and add Nick Chubb, worried about that knee a little bit, but the stuff
Yeah.
coming out of camp looks like he is ready to go there. So expect the Texans to be right in the mix as this season goes. All right, Dave, CJ Stroud, obviously the dude there. The Colts, they hit that high draft pick on Anthony Richardson. Do we even know if this is their dude?
No, we do not. And he has had issues staying healthy himself. He's a running quarterback that can't take a hit, apparently, or whatever. Big, strong dude, but has gotten banged up. And so, of course, they bring in Daniel Jones, another high draft pick. Both of these guys were maybe drafted higher than you would have hoped or expected necessarily, a fourth overall and a sixth overall, I believe. It seems like they desperately want Richardson to win this job, but he hasn't taken hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Jones is there to sort of push him. So we'll see. This is a team that uh, if they can get good quarterback play, then they've got a chance to be in this division.
Yeah, they snuck into the playoffs a couple years ago and knocking the Jags out. They go out and get Tyler Warren, maybe the most QB friendly tight end out there to add to this.
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor's still one of the top 5 to 10 backs in the
no doubt.
NFL. Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, lots of weapons here. Can they get stability at quarterback? Even though we like the Texans here, this division is open for the taking. Someone's just got to take it.
Yeah, no question about that. It is if they can put it together, they're going to be right there in the mix.
So right there in the mix, it's about time for these guys to get it going. Jacksonville Jaguars, they made the huge move in the draft to jump up and get Travis Hunter. What do you like about the Jags this season?
I like Liam Cohen and what he was able to do last year with the Bucks and Baker Mayfield, and get him to play. So, I mean, Baker, we know, and too, is a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
We need Trevor Lawrence to play consistently with
Yep.
that edge, and I think that Cohen's going to come in here and he's going to give him the scheme and everything. They need to be able to run the ball effectively, but with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, the two-way guy. But I think on offense, they really need Travis Hunter, to be explosive. Etienne at running back, they've got pieces there. Can Cohen and Trevor Lawrence put this thing together so that their offense can really shine? Then they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, T-Law supposed to be that once in a generation quarterback. He's shown flashes, consistency, Dave. He's got to get there.
Yeah.
Maybe Cohen can get that out of him. All right, Dave. The Tennessee Titans, baby. They have the first pick in the NFL draft, and they think they got their quarterback for now and the future.
Yeah, it's Cam Ward. And, obviously, maybe this wasn't the most highly touted quarterback draft in recent years. So we'll see where he would measure up against some of the quarterbacks that have been taken recently and have had early success. This team does not seem to be necessarily in position to thrive. So this is going to be all about can they develop Cam Ward bigger picture, in my opinion. A good running back tandem in Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. But all in all, I would say, this is going to be maybe a long season for Cam Ward.
Yeah. Hopefully they can just keep him healthy.
Yeah.
On the job training, it's going to be difficult, but it'll be fun to watch him. Ridley, Lockett, Van Jefferson, some fun weapons there.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, but Gunnar Helm, the tight end, look for him to sneak up on maybe some fantasy boards. All right, Dave, let's move it to maybe the most competitive division in the NFL, the AFC West. Let's start with your third favorite team, the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos. It's year two of Bo Nix, and obviously Sean Payton's third year, I believe. There, um, so this is definitely starting to show. This is a Sean Payton type of team, and Bo Nix is his guy. Really liked what we saw of Bo Nix last year, especially after the first 3 or 4 weeks. He really found a rhythm. Um, they brought in running back R.J. Harvey, who they think is going to be an absolute dynamo for them. And on defense, their first round pick, Jahdae Barron, adds another huge, awesome talent to a defense that was arguably, if not the best, one of the best defenses in the league last year. Bring in a couple of older guys in Greenlaw and Hafungu. This is a defense that's totally loaded, and they've got some good talent at wide receiver too.
Yeah, dude, and you didn't even get to my guy Nick Bonito, who was coming on
Yeah.
strong at the end of last season,
Hmm.
right there for a defensive player of the year. You mentioned those wide receivers, dude. Cortland Sutton. It was weird they didn't get the contract done with him until the offseason, but they got it. Marvin Mims is a receiver on the rise there, and last year Vela came on the scene. But dude, they add Evan Ingram to tight end here.
Yep.
This could be Jimmy Graham 2.0 in the
Yep.
Sean Payton offense. I'm excited to see what happens with those guys. All right, Dave, let's move it on. Defending AFC champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, dude. What is it, 9 or 10 in a row? What are these guys?
Yeah, whenever the numbers come up, it makes me sick. I think they've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. They've won, I think they've been to 7 straight AFC Championship games. They've won the division, I believe, 10 times in a row.
Oh my God.
The question is, can anybody dethrone the Chiefs? It's Andy Reid, in my opinion, the best active current NFL coach, maybe all time. By the time it's all
Yeah.
said and done, you got Mahomes. I think he's the best quarterback in the league, so that's kind of that. And then you've got Kelsey, and he's trimmed down, and they've got this young receiving group with Rashid Rice unbelievably going to be able to play in week one, even though he
Yeah.
should be suspended. And of course, they've got all the Swifties.
Yeah, dude. And they might have gotten the best offensive tackle, and the board just falls to them. Josh
Yeah.
Simmons out of Ohio State. It's amazing how those things work. And you mentioned Rice, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith Schuster, if he's even still there. So lots of weapons, dude. And with Kelsey, man, I'm not sure if this cat would rather be a celebrity or the best tight end in the NFL. Yeah, it's such a prolific run, but it's hard not to get sucked into that lifestyle. Him with
Yeah.
Taylor there. So
Seems like
TBD.
he's recommitted for this season, unfortunately.
I got to see it first because all you're
Yeah.
seeing are the pictures and the hanging out and the podcast and all that. But this team won 15 games last year when they didn't look that good. So
Yeah.
everybody's got higher expectations on them. If they've solved the deal at tackle,
Yeah.
ugh,
And their defense is phenomenal under Spags.
yeah.
So,
But other than that,
yeah.
all right, Dave, another team with a ton of transformation, the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders. Okay, new era for the Raiders. This is the Pete Carroll. He's what, 750 years old? No, 73 or 74. Wow. But he
Did you
brings
see that double leg
unbelievable.
takedown at practice the other day? He's messing around. I don't know where the player was. Went in there, scooped him, took him right to the ground. He's still fried, chewing bubble gum and taking guys down.
This guy, man, he's unbelievable energy for that age. And bring in Chip Kelly, I think one of the best coordinator hires that's kind of low on
Mhm.
the radar, because Chip Kelly's, they were paying him well too. And he can run the football, he can design the run game. So they bring in Geno Smith, a very, solid quarterback in the last handful of seasons for sure. And he doesn't seem to have dropped off. And then drafting Ashton Genty to plug in to run the football. The defense wasn't great last year, but man, if they can have these pieces on offense come together, then this is going to be, it's going to be another tough team in the AFC West.
Yeah, dude. And Jacoby Myers kind of flies under the radar, but one of the most sure-handed receivers out there. Can't forget the rookie season out of Brock Bowers, ready to pick
Oh,
up and take that to another level. Jack Beck, the receiver coming in from TCU.
yeah.
I'm hoping that he lives up to the story around him. But also, Dave, we buried the lead on this. Tom Brady part of this franchise, dude,
Yep.
bringing his 10 Super Bowls. Pete Carroll bringing all his Super Bowls to this mix. That's got to have a positive impact on this team at some point. Maybe not this year, but having that in the brain trust, Chip Kelly coming off the natty with Ohio State, stuff is moving in the right direction for the Raiders, dude.
And if they could get the rest of the defense to play like Crosby, oof, my God, that guy's a beast.
Yeah, man, it is going to be tough. And that leaves us one team in the AFC West, our Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
React.
Yeah, exactly. All right, how about them Chargers? Year 2 of Harbaugh. Year 1 was a success, no question. Schedule is a lot harder this year, though. So, what will success look like for this Chargers team? Um, and Greg Roman with more pieces in place. He's always been great at running the football everywhere he's been. The Chargers weren't great at running the football last year, so it was the worst run game he's ever put out there in his career. And Chargers lose Rashawn Slater just 11 days after signing him, making him the most highest paid offensive lineman in league history. A huge loss there. But drafting Hampton at running back, the new receivers they brought in, they bring back Keenan Allen. They draft receivers in the 2nd and 5th rounds. It just Lad McConkey in year 2. There's a lot of things to like about this Chargers team right now. And the defense was the number 1 defense in terms of points given up last year. Seems really deep right now in a lot of different positions. But a tougher schedule means this might be a better team that still doesn't maybe misses the playoffs instead of makes them. But we'll see.
Yeah, and Harbs and Ortiz churning this roster. You mentioned Omarion and Hampton. When you guys could run the ball last year, you won games, and when you couldn't, you lost games. They aimed to fix that.
Yep.
Joe Alt slowly ascending, was going to be the best right tackle in the NFL. He's moving over to left. He might be the best left tackle in the NFL this year. So I love what Harbaugh is doing to the roster, but you said it. They could be a better team and not have as good as record. That division is brutal. The schedule is brutal, but it's the NFL, baby. So
they're all brutal, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Dave. That's the AFC, bro.
Wow, we just breezed right through it. Let's move on to the NFC,
How did
brother.
we do that?
I don't know, man. It's like flies by, doesn't it? Having a good time. Let's start things off with the NFC East and your Dallas Cowboys. Casey, what you got?
Yeah, we got the new coach and Brian Schottenheimer. Marty's kid comes in there. Has got a ton of experience getting his first shot at running the show, but Jarrah still runs the circus or runs the soap opera. Still, dude, here we are in the middle of August, and Micah Parsons does not have a contract. Now, would it be the most Jarrah thing ever to get this deal signed right before releasing the gambler and his Dallas Cowboys? That seems like a very Jerry move to me. I'm hoping that's what happens, but it feels like it's far apart, but a fat check will always cure that. The Cowboys go out and get George Pickens from the Steelers, another weapon for Dak, someone on the other side of CD. This offense is going to look much different this year. There's going to be a ton of motion, multiple formations, so hopefully that sets. Mike McCarthy is out of there. His offense looked a little stale. So maybe Shoddy and the boys can get this thing going in the right direction, although running back is still TBD there. But they also go out and they use the 12th draft pick on Tyler Booker. So if you have a name of Tyler, you're going to be on this offensive line, but they're trying to revamp this thing. You know, Booker, Beebe, Guyton, Smith, even Terrence Steele is getting healthier. So that's when the Cowboys were the most successful, is when they had the offensive line. Still very worried about the defense and stopping the run, but I love what's happening on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, if that offensive line can come together, that's going to be the big key here because obviously Dak can throw the football. CD is a phenomenal receiver in the slot there, and Pickens on the outside. It's a great, great combo there. The running backs, like you said, sort of to be determined. But if that offensive line gels, then that's what you can run through a hole, right? So and it's definitely going to be the Tylers show there. If those guys can bond together and bring you guys back to those heydays when you had the best offensive line in football, then the team is going to be to reckon with.
And can Dak stay healthy every other year? It seems like he's missing a lot of time. Looked pretty good in preseason here, but if he does go down, I don't know that the backup QB is on the roster right now because Milton has not looked good in preseason. Will Greer hasn't gotten much of an opportunity. So Dak's got to stay healthy. If that O-line does her job, that could work out.
Okay, moving on to the New York Giants, Casey. Some new stuff happening for the Giants. Is this a make or break year for those guys in the front office and the coaching?
They've added lots of talent to this squad the
Yeah.
last couple years. They go out up top. Everybody was like, do they get a quarterback? Do they? No, they go and they get the defense right up front, dude. And if you're going out there and you're trying to get Lawrence Taylor's number, you better come in and do some
Uh-oh.
stuff. Abdul Carter getting pancaked yesterday on the side of the footage,
I
but
didn't.
he is going to be a stud. Give him some time. But it's
Yeah.
really about Jackson Dart. They also bring in Russell Wilson over as a free agent. He's going to start the season. How long can he hold off Jackson Dart? Because Malik Neighbors is ready to find that dude that is going to be his quarterback moving forward. So,
Yeah.
still in flux here, but starting to add a lot of talent. Maybe that keeps the brass intact for another year or so.
Yeah, I don't have it queued up right now, Casey, but their schedule for the first 5 games is absolutely brutal. And so good luck, Russell Wilson. If he can win 2 or 3 of those, then he's earned himself the job. But if they end up 1-4 or 0-5, which I mean, I'm telling you, look at the schedule, people. It's going to be Jackson Dart's show because they need to know what they've got with this kid, and he's looked good so far.
Yeah, a lot of experience in college too. That's been able to translate when you get all those stars, but we'll see. Brutal schedule.
All right, moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles, Casey. It's a pretty good team.
Yeah, it's the defending Super Bowl champs. Been to the Super Bowl 2 of the last 3 years. Got over the top. Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts coming back, and all this guy's been doing in his offseason, it's reaching out to guys like Peyton Manning and Michael Jordan, finding out how to take it to the next level after you've been up the top. No one works harder than this guy, dude. He will do everything possible
Yep.
to take that next step.
Yep.
So when leadership is like that, it kind of transcends throughout the roster. Saquon Barkley coming off the most prolific season in NFL history at running back. Will all those reps that he got last year slow him down a little bit? He stayed healthy, and we saw the impact of that, especially in the playoffs until we got to the Super Bowl, and then it was Jalen's show. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, man, dialed there. Some questions on offensive line. This has been the best line in the NFL, though, but obviously Kelsey retiring and then getting hurt at the guard position, Landon Dickerson. So some questions there, but they're so deep. They did lose a bunch on defense, and now they're wearing the crown, and heavy is the hair that does wear the crown. So now they are the hunted. Will that impact what they've done? But this is maybe the most talented roster in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt. The GM there has done phenomenal work getting people in place there. Like you said, the line has been the best line in football. They did lose Becton, but they have arguably the best offensive line coach in the system built around there to bring those guys in. Bringing in, you mentioned the receivers. They add Jahan Dotson, who flashed a little bit towards the end of last year, and Dallas Goedert is coming back at tight end when he's healthy. A very effective weapon for them. And on defense, they had a lot of young guys contributing in that secondary that were, that are only going to get better, honestly. So this is going to be a very, very good football team moving forward. No doubt. Right.
We
there
get to see him on the first Thursday of the season against my Dallas Cowboys. How about that?
All right. Sounds awesome. Moving along to the Washington Commanders. And this team was a surprise last year. Very fun to watch.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, Offensive Rookie of the Year, came in winning the Heisman, and he made the NFL look like he made defenses in college look, ran all over them, was better than anticipated, and he came in with a lot of anticipated goodness. So, but now the NFL has a season full of footage. Defenses get paid too, so do the coordinators. Can they slow this guy down at all? That's TBD. Scary Terry's trying to get a new deal. Depends, hearing the rumblings out there that this is just a matter of time. They got to get this guy gruntled. They do bring over Deebo Samuel. Would like to see him have the same kind of role as he did with the Niners. I don't think he's as big of a threat receiver wise as he is kind of the Swiss Army knife deal.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
they got to get Terry in there. Tons of weapons. Eckler, when he was healthy last year, had a strong presence, kind of the quarterback's best friend, dumping it off, and he can do great
Yeah.
stuff with that little catch out of the backfield. But got to shore up the defense, man. They get after the quarterback, they create turnovers, but when it came down to it, they could not stop the run when they needed to. And that's been something that's kind of looming with these Dan Quinn defenses where he's been. But it's really about what Jaden Daniels can do in the second year.
Yeah, and it was a nice tandem of running backs, like you mentioned, Eckler and Brian Robinson, Jeremy McNichols there. Zach Ertz at tight end, when healthy, is a really nice weapon for them as well. And as long as Jaden Daniels, I think there was fear just that he might not be able to do what he did in college because of his size and the dimensions and stuff, and just will he be able to stay healthy? Well, he was healthy, so if he is healthy, then we see how dynamic of a player he is.
It's
All
going to
right.
be interesting.
Whew, sure will. Let's move it to the NFC North, and we'll get it started with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, how do you make your team better? By making teams in your division worse. The Bears go out and get Ben Johnson from the Lions, that had the most
Nice.
prolific offense in the NFL the last few seasons. They go out and they rebuild this offensive line because Caleb Williams got sacked about 1,000 times last year.
Uh-huh.
Some of those were on his own doing. You know, he developed some bad habits at SC. In college, you can run around for 40 yards and then huck it and find your guy wide open. That doesn't happen in the NFL. You got to make your plays on time and make the right decision when they're not there. So, what will the development for Caleb look like under Ben Johnson? It is a difficult offense to get the grasp on. So, hopefully Caleb is putting the time in there. But Dave, they shored up the offensive line, went and brought in Joe Thuney and a couple other players there. And receiver, they had DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, an okay first year. They go out and draft Luther Burden as well. So plenty of weapons. They go get Colston Loveland to match with Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
So giving Caleb what he needs, can he take the next step and get it done?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you just rattled off all those pieces that he has. They lost Keenan Allen, not a big deal, bringing in Luther Burden there. The tight end combo. I mean, Loveland, we saw what he did. He was compared to Travis Kelce coming out in the draft. So if he is anywhere near that, then there's tons of weapons. And for Ben Johnson and Caleb, this is going to be very, very exciting. I was excited about him last year, but yeah, this is even more exciting. All right, let's move it on. It is the Detroit Lions. This team looked like they were the team of destiny. They were Super Bowl bound last year. Tons of injuries, and that defense just kept piling on to them. And where are they now?
Yeah, that the injuries to the defense, specifically Aiden Hutchinson, once he went down, the defense just kind of crumbled, man. But it wasn't only him. They were getting new injuries left and right. And now we mentioned Ben Johnson. He's with the Bears. Aaron Glenn, he's with the Jets. When you have success, your coaching staff gets cannibalized and people start taking that. Can they bounce back and do that? Jahmyr Gibbs, one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. I think he takes over. It was kind of a 50-50 split with David Montgomery last year.
Yeah.
Look for
Thunder
Gibbs
and lightning.
to do a little bit more. Yeah. And now Detroit, a ton of expectations. Home field last season, 5 turnovers against Washington, self-inflicted wounds. Can they get a clean run? They've been close, similar to Buffalo. Can they get over the edge? I hope so. This is a fun team to watch, but starting to lose pieces that they had.
Yeah, no Ben Johnson. I mean, that's the name escapes me, the new OC, but a lot kind of pressure on that dude to keep that a very exciting offense that they were putting out there. Had the trick plays and stuff. So will that continue? All right, moving on to the Green Bay Packers, Casey.
Yeah, lots of potential league MVP talk about Jordan Love. We've seen flashes from this guy too. Can he take that next step? Got hurt in week 1. last year, and I think that impacted the Packers season a little
A
more
little bit.
than he was playing, but he wasn't ever at
Yeah.
full speed. So what do? They go out and they get Matthew Golden, some people's favorite receiver in the first round. He's adding an element to this offense they didn't have. Tucker Kraft, a sneaky, awesome tight end there. You match him with Luke Musgrave and Josh Jacobs. Man, this guy was
Yeah.
a workhorse down the stretch. If they can keep that run game going, take a little pressure off of Jordan Love, pretty solid defense, but ton of expectations for these Packers.
Yeah, and it was interesting. They finally drafted a receiver in the first round. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers was thrilled to see
Thanks,
that.
bro.
But it was even going into that, it was kind of odd because they had really a lot of young receivers that had shown that they have NFL talent. Three or
Mm-hmm.
four of them there with, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks. I mean, they
Yeah,
are loaded at wide receiver right now. And you bring in, like you mentioned, Golden, who's a speedster. Wow, there's a ton of weapons there, and I love Jacobs at running back. So
yeah.
very, very solid pounding running back, man. All right, move it to the Minnesota Vikings, Casey. Wow, this team was a exciting and fun surprise last year, even though their number one pick in the draft didn't play it down.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy got banged up in preseason, missed the whole season. Sam Darnold kind of having a renaissance. Led them, I think it was 14-3 when all was said and done. He is in Seattle now, so it is JJ McCarthy's time to get it done there in second year. And there's a lot of expectation on this guy just to come in and make this team not lose a beat. I think he probably learned a ton just watching last year. A very
Yeah.
cerebral dude, so he was taking in those reps, but it's not as easy just stepping in and expecting this team to go 14-3 again, but they are expected to compete. And Jetta, I'm a little bit worried about that hamstring though, but the Vikings, man, brutal division, high expectations.
Yeah, and Jordan Addison suspended
Mm-hmm.
to start the season for the first 3 games, so that's going to be a setback there. Um, Aaron Jones at running back was really what they needed. They couldn't run for a while, and they got him, and it suddenly seemed to take off a bit in that category. I love Kevin O'Connell, the way he
Mm-hmm.
coaches up quarterbacks, and from what I understand, JJ McCarthy is the ultimate competitor, and he wants to go in there and prove that they were right to pick him, and there's not going to be a drop off
Mm-hmm.
from Sam Darnold. That's what McCarthy's going to go out there and show us. So we'll see if he can get it done. Hawkinson at tight end is a nice weapon for them too. All right, we're going to move it over to the NFC South, Casey, and we'll get things started here with the Atlanta Falcons. And wow, lot of excitement here, I suppose.
Yeah, and what a difference a year makes. Last year, they're going in, they signed Cousins to the big contract, and then they go out and they draft Michael Penix Jr. And before the season was over, it became his team.
Yeah.
So going into this year, it's definitely Penix's team moving forward. Bijan depends. If you ask him, it's Bijan. We've all been saying Bijan, but it's Bijan. So, and
Like the
he
mustard.
yeah, it's a little looking to be that first running back taken maybe in PPR leagues, but
Hmm.
such a dynamic weapon. And he came on as the season went longer too. Drake London, dude, most people know about him, but if you don't, this guy is a superstar
Yeah.
in the making. So big, so fast, got great hands. Darnell Mooney kind of came on too there. Kyle Pitts, kind of a forgotten guy. This guy was the unicorn a couple years ago, supposed to dominate the league. It hasn't gone that way, but he will be a big part of this offense moving forward. And can they get it going on defense? They've been adding some pieces there, but still a question mark. They went out and got my guy, Billy Bowman. He's not starting yet, but he will come in nickel packages and dime. This guy is a stud. The Falcons fans are going to love him when he gets acclimated. But this is a division that, depending on how Penix plays, Atlanta could be in the mix for this thing.
Yeah, it's kind of been Tampa's division, but
Mm-hmm.
they're that team that could really threaten, and it all is going to rest on Penix there. And can he really put it together? There's pieces around him, obviously. Bijan, how do you say it now?
Bajan.
Yeah, okay. Bijan, got it.
Bajan.
Yeah, and can Kyle Pitts really live up to the what the billing was when he came out? Like you said, the unicorn. He hasn't uh,
Mhm.
been worth it there, and they still have a piece if they want to trade the second string quarterback there. Can they make something happen before the season that makes any sense to make this team better right now?
Yeah.
Okay, moving to the Carolina Panthers. Um, Second year for Bryce Young, uh, and what do we have? Are we excited about this? What are we looking at?
I am, dude. How quick, man. Everybody wants to throw dirt on these guys that come out and struggle.
Yeah,
A small quarterback on a crappy team with a crappier offensive line doesn't succeed at first. Give me a freaking break, dude. This kid was awesome in college. Protect him, give him weapons, and we will
yeah,
see what he can do. And we started to see that towards the end of last season. So what did
yeah.
they go out and do? They draft Ted McMillan in the first round, dude. Now with him and Leggett and Adam Thielen, the crafty vet there, they've got weapons, and dude, they go out and try to reclaim Hunter Renfro. Dude, we thought this guy was going to take the NFL by storms. Like we thought he would be doing what Lad McConkey did. He's
Now that
coming
he's the
back.
third receiver though on this squad, look out for that dude. He's sneaky good.
Yeah, dude, and Chuba Hubbard kind of under the radar too. All this guy does is produce. So they're getting that line better, giving Bryce Young some weapons. Even though you mentioned this has been Tampa's division, I think these Panthers could make some noise in this division.
Yeah, and Bryce Young really had gotten himself. They benched him early on for a couple of games there, brought him back, and towards the end, they were right there with every
Mhm.
team they played in the last 5 or 6 games. Almost beat the Eagles late there.
And the
Um,
Chiefs took the Chiefs to OT.
totally right down the wire. So let's see if that is a little picture of what we can expect. And this is going to be a very exciting team. And Bryce Young, phenomenal quarterback in high school here in California, too.
Yeah.
So, all righty, move it to the New Orleans Saints. A lot of new in the New Orleans Saints this year.
Yeah, new first time head coach in Kellen Moore. He's there coming off that Super Bowl win with Philadelphia as their OC. Derek Carr, that shoulder turned to be so problematic that he's done playing football.
Yep.
Spencer Rattler, some hit or miss last year. Can he hold off the draft pick Tyler Schaff here? I don't expect this team to be very good at all. Maybe they start dealing some of their pieces around the trade deadline. Um, it's going to be a tough road for Kellen Moore in this first year. Alvin Kamara, what could you dangle this guy for a team if there's a running back injury that needs a little help here? So maybe they want to be towards the top of the draft next year to move some of those pieces. But Dave, I don't expect much out of the Saints. Sorry, who dat?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It seems like for years now, the Saints have sort of kicked the can down the road when it comes to the salary cap. And last year, when you looked at the team and Alvin Kamara got a new contract, it was a pretty good deal for Kamara. Like you said, for an older running back, yeah, at some point that you need to sort of just clear the table and start over. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Casey. This one seems like this is a tough call for Kellen Moore. He's going from coordinating that Philadelphia
Oh,
offense to this particular group. And yeah, the quarterback question is the question of the season. Really, is one of
mhm.
these guys going to emerge and play some quality NFL quarterback? We'll find out. Shuck there is actually, I think, the oldest guy on the roster, even though he
Wow.
is the rookie. All right, moving it on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and boy, this team is physical, and they're a little, I think, under the radar. This is a very good football team.
Yeah, and this team has kind of owned this division the last 4 or 6 years, like you said, under the radar a little bit. Baker Mayfield coming into his own. Let's see if he can continue that success without Cohen being there as his OC. But Baker's players freaking love Baker. The
Yeah,
fans love him. He's just so grimy. Take back last year, remember stiff arming Bosa to get the play on fourth down. Baker always lays it on the line, and his energy is infectious. He's a leader, and that permeates through this roster. Bucky Irving, the fourth round draft pick last year, expected to be the starter there.
yeah,
Rashad
he's
White
awesome.
is kind of a little bit banged up, so Bucky's got the opportunity to really stretch that lead as the RB1 there. But both those guys will get opportunities. And Mike Evans, dude, one of the best to ever do it. First ballot Hall of Famer, another
No doubt.
1,000-yard season. Let's see what happens. Can Chris Godwin get back to what he was looking like before the gnarly injury? Jalen McMillan was kind of, took a fantasy flyer on this guy later and kept getting productivity down the stretch. So they go out and add Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State. And all you hear about this guy is constant worker, watching film, knows in the books, wants to be a well-rounded player, has done that, willing blocker. So, dude, I think this offense has a chance to be prolific, and there's a lot of good players on the defensive side of the ball too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. And the Bucky Urban 4th rounder last year, what a steal! And there were so many good running backs, but he really emerged as a fantastic back. You mentioned Rashad White, but also Sean Tucker
Mm-hmm.
is another guy. So they go 3 deep at the running back position. They were older at the wide receiver, and obviously both guys suffered injuries, so they went down in the draft in the 1st round, and as you mentioned, brought in Egbuka, and he is a premier route runner. He's going to hit the ground running and be an immediate impact guy
Mm-hmm.
for this team. Yeah, K. Dotton at tight end. This is an absolutely exciting, and the offensive line is really one of the best lines in football. Don't get enough credit there. They block, and I mean, everything clicks from that position. All right, moving along to the NFC West. The Arizona Cardinals, Casey, get things done, right? What are they doing?
Yeah. Can Kyler Murray stay healthy, dude? It's a big question mark when he's healthy, man. This team shows flashes. You're like, oh my God, they're here and they just can't get over the top. They self destruct. Hopefully, that's not the case this year. Marvin Harrison Jr. in his 2nd year, he's beefed up, and him and Kyler kind of got that mojo working last year. But the guy that Kyler's really talking about is Mike Wilson coming out and being part of this offense. He loves what he's getting out of him.
Hmm.
And Trey McBride, dude, emerging
Woo!
star tight
Yeah,
end, maybe one, definitely top 4 tight ends in the league. Catches everything. He's exciting, but I love the running back combo. James Conner, everything he's about. Just the workhorse here. But Trey Benson coming in from Florida State, thought we would see more of him last year. He's going to have a bigger impact on this squad. Can they keep Kyler healthy? And can the defense do enough for this offense? Man, this also a brutal division.
yeah, no doubt about it. And this team is going to go as Kyler goes when when he's healthy and he's using his legs to sort of extend plays and move the chains. Then this team can really get it done. He does sometimes go into like a little slump or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it just seems like the team is suddenly not what they are when he's playing, when he's on his game. This team can really play with anyone.
Yeah, he's one of one. When Kyler's doing Kyler things,
Yeah,
there's nobody else that's got the same skill set as him. It's so much fun to watch, but we need consistency and a
consistency,
full year
exactly.
of it.
Yeah. Okay. This Rams team that's up next, Casey. I mean, wow, one of the best coached teams in the league. They constantly seem to be very creative and very athletic as well.
I think this team was a third down away from beating the Eagles last year and then beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And this is kind of, can you call them a dark horse to go to the Super Bowl again? I don't know that you can. Little worried about Matt Stafford's back. He's not
Yes.
done too much in practice, had a couple throwing sessions, but not really been a participant. But
Yeah.
shockingly, dude, Stetson Bennett has been really solid
Yeah.
when he's had opportunities, made big plays when they've presented themselves. I think he's cleaned up the crap that he had going off of the field, maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
So he seems to get that dialed in, and his play is gone to the next level, dude.
Well, and they
And
got Jimmy G there. If I mean,
yeah,
if they can't, if Stafford has to be put on the shelf for the beginning of the season or something because he's not ready, I think they're in good hands with Jimmy G and Stetson Bennett. Man, Bennett played awesome in the preseason so far. So
yeah, and they give Kyron Williams the big contract, well earned, this
absolutely,
offseason. But dude, it's not only him; it's Blake Corum, it's Cody Schrader from Missouri. This guy was the leading running back in the SEC and kind of flew under the radar. I love it, running back. Oh, and they go out and they add Devontae freaking Adams, dude. Add him with Puka and Tutu
wow,
Atwell, and Jordan Whittington played pretty well last year in limited opportunities, but Mumpfield, dude, this offseason in the preseason has been a star in the making. So you mentioned how well coached this team is. They've been hitting on all these deep round draft picks. The defense, one of the best in the NFL. With a healthy Stafford, this team is right in the mix. I need to see the other quarterbacks do it in the regular season, but lots of talent on this Rams squad.
Yeah, and
Oh
this
my
Rams
God.
team had, if you recall, a lot of injuries on the offensive line when they
Mm-hmm.
started the season, and they were just patching together a line all year long, and they still were keeping themselves afloat and in position. And then they kind of came together late in the season, and then that front four on defense. Oh my gosh, did they hit on
Yeah.
those dudes? Man, that is a vicious defensive front. That's been the secret to a lot of teams winning the Super Bowl in the last handful of years, as we've seen.
And they get in the mix. They're down the road. Maybe you put the call to Aaron Donald. Hey, do you have, 4 playoff games in you to get another ring? He might be listening. That guy is still yoked, dude. They're showing some of the training sessions he's doing with Verse is like, get me out of here, man. This guy is still a beast. So
Yeah,
you
I
never
heard
know.
about he offered to work out with them, and after about 45 minutes, Verse was about ready to clap, and he said, "All right, you ready to start working out?" Because that was just the pre-workout. He said he
Oh,
was sore for like 2 days after that. So,
yeah.
all right, move it on to the San Francisco 49ers. This team, unfortunately, not as what we were hoping for last year. Can they reload, and where are they now?
Yeah, this has been a team that's right there in the mix. Couple Super Bowls, couple NFC championships. The injuries finally caught up with them last year, and it was just too much to overcome. Brock Purdy, he's gotten paid now, so let's see what the ramifications of the salary cap are with this contract. Christian McCaffrey, Dave. I feel sorry for people that drafted this guy number 1 overall on their fantasy teams last year because it just never got going for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he was obviously he's their dynamic running back, running and rush receiving the football out of the backfield. Yeah, so I pity the fool that picked him first overall last year. However, it doesn't prohibit me from picking him 10th at this year if he happens to fall to me. This team, when healthy, is a legitimate threat to this division, as well as to go deep into the playoffs. Some real quality still here. The receivers a little bit banged up at this point in time. We got to get those guys right. They did lose the
Debo.
Debo, thank you, and they, you know, they're their offensive line and their scheme can scheme anybody open,
Yeah.
and they can run the football as well as any team by just plugging any running back in. So I'm not concerned. The Shanahan coaching is excellent, and this team, if they're healthy, is going to be right there in the mix to win this division.
Yeah, dude, and they love Ricky Pearsall at wide receiver there. Juwan
Yep.
Jennings had some huge games last year with
Hmm.
Brandon Ayuk out, but Ayuk is still on pup. I'm not sure when we're going to see him back. I think they said
Yeah.
maybe week 5 or 6, but still got George Kittle. They lost Greenlaw and Hufunga on this defense, so starting to lose some of those players, and some of the stars are getting a little bit older, and now you're paying Brock Purdy, but that doesn't slow down the expectations there in the Bay Area.
All right, moving it to the Seattle Seahawks. I believe it's the second year in the Mike McDonald era, Casey,
It
and
is Mike McDonald's second year.
and there's some new stuff going on there, some new flavor in town.
Yeah, it was Sam Darnold, 14-3 with the Vikings, good enough to get that starting gig there in Seattle. I expect him to pick up where he left off last year with those Vikings. But Dave, you can't deny the electricity that is Drew Lock and those pop and lock. No, I'm just kidding. I'm talking about Jalen Milroe from Alabama, dude. I love it when this guy gets on the field. He can run with the best of them. If he can get that passing game just a little more evolved, this guy's going to be a star in the future. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, his next second season, or I think it's his third, he is the leading
Yeah,
go-to guy there. And they bring over Cooper Kupp, a
great.
little long in the tooth, but if this guy is
He's
healthy,
healthy.
one of the best route runners in the NFL. So obviously they get rid of Metcalf. Tyler Lockett's moving on. So they're kind of revamping this receiving core,
In
and
the
they bring.
5th round, Casey, Torrey Horton has really put together a nice preseason. Look for him to make an impact immediately.
Yeah, dude. And Jake Bobo, kind of a Seattle favorite there. He's kind of
Love the
grimy, but
guy.
all he does is get open. And how about MVS? Okay. And they've been slowly rebuilding this defense. It starts up front with Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy, but they're adding pieces. They went out and got Tank from my Cowboys, DeMarcus Lawrence. So they're building this, and Mike McDaniel, the type of team that he wants. But dude, this division is insane.
Yeah, it is. And well, this is team, we have to assume Mike McDonald, who got this job because of his defensive prowess, is putting together a defense that's going to, even though we don't know all the names right now, those names will emerge and it's going to be a strong defense. And on the other side of the football, the running game is going to be important for this team. Kenneth Merton and Zach Charbonnet are a really, really nice 1-2 tandem when they're healthy. They've gone through some injury issues there, but if they can keep it healthy and Sam Darnold can show us that last year's Sam Darnold under O'Connell is the same dude now. He's finally emerged. This is the guy we knew had all this talent, and for some reason, New York Jets, he was set back, but now he's been unleashed. And let's see if Sam Darnold can really play at that level, in this new offense.
Yeah, dude, I love that defensive secondary for these Seahawks too. So
Strong.
it's going to be fun. That's a tough place to play, and that is an absolutely brutal division.
Yeah, it's wide open. It's a tough one.
Dave,
Yes, sir.
I know it's only preseason, but how stoked are you?
I am completely stoked, dude.
Sweet, bro. Totally stoked over here. It's just a couple short weeks away, and the football dudes have you covered as soon as the season starts. We're going to have all the week 1 matchups, all the big news stories, a little fantasy for the sickos, the eliminator, knockout pool. Dude, we have it all. And there is so many ways you can check out all that sweet, sweet football dudes action. The Trend Zone, now available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon Music.
Yep, it's all there for you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Instagram and Facebook, and also follow us on Twitter at Football Dudes LA.
And make sure you tag us across all social media platforms. And while you're out there surfing the webs, go ahead and bookmark footballdudes.com. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Dave, I am Casey. We are out of here.